Imagine waking up every day hoping to muster the energy to face the world, only to be overshadowed by a looming uncertainty. You're constantly walking on eggshells, fearing that something you say or perhaps a simple act by your child might send your partner spiraling. It's an exhausting dance of unpredictability, leaving you feeling perpetually out of control. This is what it can sometimes feel like when you're married to a childhood trauma survivor. I've been there. I was married to my husband, and it wasn't long after we were married that I started to notice several things that just didn't seem quite right. My husband had a terrible time sleeping, severe insomnia, where I would notice that he was often up most of the night, getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep, maybe. I also noticed a lot of control with his environment. It seemed like he needed to have ultimate control over how things were cleaned, where things were placed, just things that ended up causing some conflict in our marriage. And then I really started noticing an irritability, and that small things would seem to set him off, and we just couldn't get to the bottom of it. And finally, I noticed that my husband was withdrawing, sometimes for days in the basement, and it seemed like there were just little things that would send him into this withdrawal state that I just couldn't understand. And it was only after our marriage hit rock bottom that my husband was able to reveal for the first time to anyone a terrible history of childhood abuse at the hands of the church. And it was only when he was able to realize that if he didn't get to the bottom of his past and deal with it and heal, that he was on the brink of losing everything. However, it didn't make it that much easier for me until I learned some techniques with how to deal with someone who has experienced childhood trauma. That overwhelming sense of lost control and feeling as though the ground beneath me was constantly shifting, it's a burden that no one should bear alone. So how do we reclaim that lost control? How can we support our loved ones while ensuring our own well-being? One word: boundaries. Establishing healthy boundaries is a challenging yet crucial step towards gaining safety and restoring control in your life. It's about understanding, compassion, and creating a safe space for both of you. It's not always easy, but it's definitely worth it. And here's the exciting news. I am launching a 5-day challenge to jumpstart you towards becoming more confident, connected, and more content if you are struggling in a relationship with a childhood trauma survivor or suspect that unresolved childhood trauma could be affecting your relationship. Join us, and together we'll pave the way to a more controlled, secure, and harmonious life. Click below to learn more, and remember, the power to change is in your hands. But before we wrap up, I must address another prevalent challenge you may be facing, and that's exhaustion, that relentless feeling of merely scraping through each day in survival mode. If this resonates you, I invite you to sign up for my newsletter, because next week I'll be diving deeper into this very topic and providing strategies to help. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Danielle Sebastian, and I hope that this is just the beginning of this conversation for those of you who are married or are supporting someone with childhood trauma.